Whether you're leading a scout troop, a country, a parade, a giant corporation, or a football team, it is clear great leaders consistently provide, both in words and actions, a strong and inspiring example for others. Michelle Roop is a former corporate communications expert. She is now the principal of Lighthouse Leadership. She also has a master's degree in leadership studies, and she is the chair of the Minerva Foundation for BC Women. Last month, she joined us in Studio 4. Here is our conversation. I don't have to guess much. You're a bit of a leader yourself.
Oh, I try to be. I think my claim to fame is being surrounded by other great people that I constantly feel inspired by, and I think for all of us, that's what presses us on to do more and constantly do better.
What interested you in studying leadership at a university level?
Oh, I find it fascinating. I think it's one of those areas that's certainly grown in popularity in terms of the kind of conversations people are having, but it's also very difficult to define. I mean, oftentimes people, the question comes, what makes a great leader? And it's just one of those, certainly one could compile a list of qualities, but many of the attributes that make somebody a very strong leader are often quite intangible.
And do you think that the same qualities in a leader show up on a football field, in a corporate office, in Parliament, leading a parade?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously a leader has to be inspiring, but there must be some things every great leader does or innately does to inspire people to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think people look at those sorts of considerations and say, well, are there variations as how people become strong leaders in a sport arena relative to what they need to do in politics, relative to what they need to do in leading a not-for-profit? And I think the short answer on that is that there is great commonality there. What we like to look at Minerva is values-based leadership, for example, is a very central theme in how people approach these opportunities. So in essence, what values-based leadership is about is really understanding what it is that drives you. What are those innate qualities? What are the things that you really care about? What are the guiding principles in one's life? So whether you are applying those qualities in sports arena, or whether you're applying them in a political discipline, or whether you're applying them in your community or in your home life for that matter, I think there's a great consistency there as to how those qualities come out.
Sure, and as more women are leading the way today, there are different challenges, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's natural challenges that women, those of us that have had children, for example, there's just a natural cycle that we go through in terms of needing to take time away from work. And it really does take a village, I think, in a lot of cases for women to be able to be the successful leaders that they are today.
Well, Hillary Clinton coined it. It takes a village, and certainly Condoleezza Rice, I think at some level, illustrates that she's a piano player and she has this whole other soft life, and she was Secretary of State in a Republican government.
I know.
So give your head a shake.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Tell me about Minerva Foundation. Who founded it? What's the history?
The Minerva Foundation was founded back in 1999 and then originally sort of formally constituted in 2001. Hence, this is our 10-year anniversary coming back. MLA Sue Hamill was instrumental in that initiative, as was Nancy McKinstry. Many other women who really sort of got together. Sue Hamill had been touring the province and talking to women in all different Aboriginal communities, the political realm, school boards, just a whole cross-section of women of all ages and diverse backgrounds, and asking them what did they see as sort of the key challenges in being able to really step up to their full leadership potential. And there was a common theme, again, that was emerging with women saying, we just need some additional support. We'd love to have more mentorship. We'd love to, access some people that can help us step up to these roles. We'd like some more formal training around leadership skills, for example.
How is it different from the Women's Network? In the 60s or the 70s, women's networks came about, and women who were putting a foot into the corporate world would all get together and exchange cards and support one another. There were many women who weren't in leadership roles, and I remember those early network meetings, and you thought, gee, I'm at the top of the chain here. I want somebody who's above me to help me find my way. So in a sense, the mentorship program at Minerva is about that.
Very much so. I think one of the other critical pieces that you would have experienced, so in many of those networking sessions, is when it's simply women talking to women. You know, certainly you can get very passionate about it. You can start to, you know, sort of get an emotional driver going in terms of we need to affect change. But in essence, the conversation doesn't go too far when it's just women talking to women, albeit when you are engaging women that are senior, accomplished professionals. And so I think one of the key distinctions again in Minerva is we engage everybody in that conversation. We have a couple of men on our board now. We have men involved in our patron circle, which is a group that really advocates and acts as ambassadors for us in the community.
Sure. Well, most of my mentors in the radio business were certainly male because there weren't many females in the business.
Absolutely.
And in fact, my mentors in the radio business were male.
Yeah, I've no doubt.
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
And who cares what sex you are, as long as you help me get to where I want to go.
Absolutely. And this is very much our philosophy as well, is that it's not about sort of sitting at the table and fist thumping about the injustices and whining about it. I mean, we've just got to lead by example, and we've got to surround ourselves with capable men and women that also believe that it's just simply the right thing to do for business reasons, it's the right thing to do for the community, it's the right thing to do politically.
Okay, so that's the values part of it.
That's the values.
Because I think leaders who are at the top of their game definitely imbue that. You look at an Obama, a Michelle Obama, or a Barack Obama, it doesn't matter. Leaders I admire throughout history have certainly had values number one, skills to lead, of course, but they are defiant about their values and they're moral, and
very much.
they do the right thing.
They do,
or at least attempt to do the right thing.
Yeah. And this is where I think for us it comes back to looking, if you again sort of distill it down, excuse me, and looking at those individuals and say, well, what is it? You know, what is the common theme there that's apparent? And again, our belief, our research tells us, the data that we've looked into all aligns behind this notion of values-based leadership. And that when those people are conducting themselves from a very strong center in terms of knowing what their guiding principles, it will help them do the right thing at the right time for the right reasons.
Sure, it's like having your 3 words you always go back to when you can't make a decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're buying a coat or a car or taking a new job.
Yes.
If you have your 3 words and you say, what do I value? And you run it by, you can make a decision very quickly.
Right.
Fairly quickly.
Right.
A young girl I was reading about, I think her name is Christelle Lobo Prabhu. Do you know her?
One of the protégés.
Yes, and tell me, she was in grade 11, she was shy, wanted to be a doctor.
Yes.
Had no idea where to start, not sure if doctoring was for her.
Yes.
How did Minerva help her?
Yeah. So this young woman participated in our Learning to Lead program. At the time, she was a grade 11 student. This is how the Learning to Lead, which is our introductory leadership development program. So we work in triads. You have a grade 11 student paired with an emerging leader, which may be somebody who could still be doing a master's degree, for example. So sort of 3 to 5 years along in their professional development. And then the third member of that triad is a community leader, somebody such as yourself, who would then sort of, provide a little bit of the senior role in terms of what they've experienced. And you bring all of those individuals together and they literally learn from one another. And again, I think it's in the conversations that would have happened that she would have helped to get better clarity on what it was that she was looking for in order to move towards her own aspirations.
Sure. And today she is a medical doctor.
And today she is, yeah.
And now
it's a lovely story.
As the cycle goes, now she will mentor someone.
Absolutely. And
Isn't that the idea of mentoring?
Very much, and that is a foundational piece for Minerva as well. We're not just sort of doing drive-by, networking for women. This is really men and women that are investing in these young people, in people at the middle age and stage of their careers, and increasingly we're being asked as women that are in the more mature phase as well, that they're looking for this continuous education opportunity to refine their leadership skills, because of course they change depending on what point you're at in your own professional career.